Reimagining Success, Episode 28. You're listening to Reimagining Success, the podcast where we help you reimagine your future, designing a life and career beyond the 9 to 5 that allows you the freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment that you've been dreaming of. I'm your host, Anna Lundberg. Now, let's get started on those dreams. Hello there, and welcome back. Now, having been exploring how you can set up your business to give you the freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment that you're after in your life, last week we turned our attention to the specific situation of creating that freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment that you need to prepare for having a young family. And this week, I want to look more concretely at how to set up your business so that it works when you have children. And in fact, a lot of the things that I'm always talking about setting up your business for success will apply as well. But I did want to look more specifically at the situation of having a young family, or at least planning for that young family in the future. And the first thing is to define success, both as a parent and as an entrepreneur. And I'm very sorry to be a broken record here, because if you've been following me for any time at all, you'll know that I nearly always recommend starting with defining what success looks like for you. And of course, that is the name of the podcast, Reimagining Success. So it won't be too much of a surprise for you, I think. But this really is the most important first step. You have to know where you're trying to get to in order to work out how to get there. So when it comes to having children, first of all, get ready to truly, profoundly, and completely reimagine what success means to you. It is one of the most transformative experiences of your life, and it is likely to challenge your entire identity and lifestyle. So you can and should, I think, start thinking about this ahead of time. But of course, you won't know what it will be like until it actually happens to you. Everyone tells us, oh, you don't understand until you become a parent. So do be prepared for the unexpected. But make sure you're looking at success already now from a holistic perspective. And specifically, first of all, as a parent, and then secondly, as an entrepreneur, because we're talking both about building a new business and then becoming a new parent. So you want to look at success from both of those two angles, and of course together as well, because you're doing the two together. And we looked at this last week in the context of considering what those words that I'm always saying mean to you. So freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment. What do those concepts mean to you personally? And we asked lots of questions around how you want to run your business, how much time you will want to take off when your baby first arrives, when you want to go back to work, how much you'll want to work when you do, and so on. And those are all very important questions to try to answer. So do go back and listen to last week's episode if you missed that one, or if you didn't yet sit down with a pen and paper and actually answer those questions. You want to come up with the parameters for what your business needs to look like in order to facilitate your vision of the kind of parent you want to be, of the kind of life you now want to lead over the next few years. So number one is to start by defining what you want from your business and from your new lifestyle as a parent, and then use that as a guide as you design a business that will deliver on your vision. So again, it's actually no different to anyone who wants to set up a business, really thinking about what success looks like for you, defining your personal parameters. It's just that in this case, your personal parameters will involve a new little being and a new identity as a parent, and not just whatever else you are planning to do with your exciting life as a new entrepreneur. So same principles apply, but of course there'll be specific dimensions to having children alongside the business. So number one, define success as an entrepreneur and as a parent. Number two is choose the right business model. So again, everything we've already looked at in terms of how to set up your business to give you that freedom and flexibility that you're after in these last few weeks, and in fact in general, will apply to how to set your business up specifically to work with family life. And the core of this work will be in deciding on the right business model. And that's really just a plan for how your business is going to function, what kind of business you'll do, and so on. So that will include who your customers or clients will be, what products and services you will offer, and then what you'll need to make this business work in terms of investment, support, and so on, the structure, marketing, sales, all those things. So first of all, in terms of clients, just as an example, you'll want to identify individuals or companies who will understand your family-first approach, be flexible to your schedule, and supportive of your desire perhaps to work from home. and be willing to respect your boundaries when it comes to when and how you'll support them. So hopefully you're clear on what your values are and your personal parameters now. And then you want to have a think about who are the types of people, individual clients, companies, organizations who are actually going to respect those values, share those values, and want to work with you, even if and when you have perhaps a different situation and that you can't come to the office every day, you don't want to come to the office every day. And of course, again, this applies if you want to be location independent for any other reason, not just when you're having a family, but there is a specific dimension to, picking up sick kids from school or whatever it might be. But make sure you're really thinking about who are your clients from a general perspective as well, in terms of who needs your services, who can afford and is willing to pay for your services. So all those general business principles still apply. But again, there's a specific dimension here in terms of your family first approach, additional flexibility to your schedule, supportive of your desire to work from home, and, willing to respect your boundaries. Because unfortunately, everybody does not have that same set of values and respect for your boundaries. That's something to consider. In terms of your products and services, you'll need to look at how you will deliver them. So perhaps virtually rather than in person, so that you can do it from home. You don't have to travel to a client's office. Leveraging your time effectively. We talked about this a few weeks ago, so do check out that episode, so that you're really maximizing the value you're getting out of the time that you're putting in. And then also considering more passive formats. Now, there is no such thing as a passive income stream, but there are revenue generating items, products, services that require maybe a one-time effort to create content, and then you can get recurring revenue from that. So for example, it might be a self-directed course or a group program where, you're creating material that then people can work through at their own pace, or a book, for example. You're unlikely to make millions with your first book, but if you self-publish a few books, you will be getting a residual income. A little bit of money will trickle into your account every month, and that's a good place to be. So really think about how you're going to deliver your products and services, how you're going to leverage your time, and then consider those more passive formats so that you don't have to be tied to your desk, to your client's office from Monday to Friday, or worse, Monday to Sunday. And then in terms of what you'll need to make the business work, you'll need to calculate both the one-off setup costs as well as any ongoing expenses. And we'll look at financials in a second, but that's, of course, very important to understand how is this business structure actually going to function and the resources you need to make it work. So that might be a team, even if that team is just an accountant and some admin support. And when it comes to actually taking time off when the baby comes, we're looking at this next week more concretely in terms of taking that parental leave, the maternity leave. But in the meantime, certainly setting up the business, you will need that support. Perhaps an accountant. I would probably recommend admin support, designers, logo people, and so on. So really think about, the bare minimum of what I need to get this business up and running. So that's the second one in terms of really choosing the right business model that is going to work for your definition of success and your personal parameters. Number 3, as I just hinted, is to work out the financials. Now, having a family, I probably don't need to tell you this, will bring a lot of new financial responsibilities. So on a personal level, you'll want to have a look at your current expenses, as well as any savings buffer you have available, and then budget, if you can, for the new outgoings once the baby comes. And of course, try to avoid buying things you don't need. It's so easy as a new parent just to get on all those lists and Pinterest and recommendations and buy all these beautiful things. Maybe you can get things secondhand. Maybe some things can wait until you have the child and you know if you really need something. And probably a lot of things can wait. These days we can buy things at the last minute on Amazon and so on. Obviously getting very, very practical and detailed here, but just to say that we don't have to maybe spend as much as sometimes it can appear. So, we can be a bit responsible in terms of how much we spend so we don't go overboard. But that's on a personal level, looking at our expenses, new outgoings, savings, and so on. From a business perspective, if you're setting up a business, you need to make sure the financials make sense. First, during that setup phase, if you're starting a new business, and then during your maternity leave. And again, we're talking about this specifically next week. And of course, finally, you need the financials to work during your subsequent years of actually having one or more children. So really setting income targets that are going to cover your personal and your business expenses, coming up with the different revenue streams where the income is going to come from, and then planning how you're going to reach those targets. This is a massive topic. This is really your entire business strategy. But just to flag that this is very important to make sure the financials work during that initial setup phase when you're probably investing and not seeing a lot of results. During your parental leave, your maternity leave, when you will be off and not earning money, perhaps, apart from ideally some of that little residual income. And then also, over the next few years, when you perhaps want to have that freedom, flexibility, you won't be working full time, but you still want to be having lots of lovely money coming into your account. In terms of pricing your services specifically, you want to look at your overall income goals and then how many clients you can take on in the time you have available. And that again will vary in the setup phase, during leave, and then, in the subsequent years. And if you're interested in looking at pricing your services, I do have a little ebook, a pricing strategy guide for more help on this that really helps you look at this from a few different angles and start with the overall goals and then the hours you have available, the clients you can take on and so on. So that's available at onestepoutside.com/pricing strategy. onestepoutside.com/pricing strategy. Now, if you think about it from the time you have available, the usual number given for a typical 40-hour work week is 2,080 hours in a year. But that's 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. And I don't think we want to work that much. In any case, it's not feasible as a business owner to be earning money 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, because we're not just doing those billable hours that clients are paying us for. We also have business development, marketing, accounting, and so on, admin. And of course, as a parent, the whole point here is we want to try to create that freedom and flexibility in your schedule. So make sure when you're working at your pricing, it works for your income goals, big picture, and then also what you want your schedule to look like. There's no point in coming up with an hourly rate, a day rate, a project rate that only gives you what you need if you work those 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, because that's never going to happen. Number 4, build your audience. Now, an important part of your business model will be how you market and sell your services. You can't just put up a website, unfortunately, the day before your baby is due and then expect to generate a generous passive income. You need to build an audience, and that audience needs to consist of prospects who need and value what you can provide and who come to know, like, and trust you, as we say, over time, so that eventually they become ready to buy from you. And for some people, that can take months, if not years. In some cases, you can be lucky that some clients will come to you, they'll find you and they'll make a spontaneous decision. But a lot of people with things that I do, for example, with my coaching, can take quite a long time to really get to know me, to get a feel for what I do and to feel, yes, this is the right fit. And also, of course, make the shifts from a mindset perspective on their own side that, yes, this is definitely something I do want to do and commit to. For example, leaving your job to set up a new business is quite a big decision. So to build that audience, you're going to need to design a content strategy that includes who you're targeting, that client, and what kind of content you will create and when and where you'll distribute that content. And then, of course, you need to actually create and distribute that content consistently over time. And this applies both to B2C, so business to consumer, and B2B, business to business. It's just a question of adjusting the type of content and the platform that you're using. So, for example, if you're targeting individuals, you might be doing live videos and inspirational posts on Facebook and Instagram. Whereas if you're trying to work with businesses, then you might be more active on LinkedIn, for example, which is a very professional platform, and then sharing educational posts and reports, maybe webinars and so on, to build your credibility. So clearly this is a massive topic in itself in terms of building your personal brand and credibility and building your marketing and sales funnel and so on. We did do a series on personal branding a couple of months ago, so do have a look at the previous podcast episodes as well. And then finally, get support. Now, you're about to go through some very exciting but very challenging times, both as a new business owner and then as a new parent. So make sure you're not trying to do it all by yourself. It is not a sign of weakness to ask for help. You need that help. Make sure you get the support that you need. So from a business perspective, that's what we're looking at. There are a few different types of support that I really think you want to consider. And the first one is a cheerleader, or more than one ideally. But these are people who believe in you, who will encourage you when you're doubting yourself, who will celebrate with you as you move forwards. Then there's the accountability partner, someone who will check in on your commitments, make sure you actually do what you said you'd do. And then finally, a mentor, so someone who's a few steps ahead of you in the game, who can advise you on common mistakes and pitfalls and guide you on where to focus your efforts. So you may find these people, if you're lucky in one, maybe you have a partner who can do these things, certainly cheer you on and provide that accountability and maybe even financial support. You might find an online community. For example, I'd love to have you, of course, in the One Step Outside Facebook group. If you're not already there, you can find that by searching One Step Outside on Facebook, or you can go to onestepoutside.com/community, onestepoutside.com/community, and that will redirect you as well. And of course, working with a business mentor or coach can be a great way to avoid those mistakes, avoid that extra time it takes to learn by trial and error, and really sort of leapfrog and speed things up as you make progress on focusing on the right things and really getting the results more quickly. In more practical terms, you'll also want to consider things like creating systems, automation, and outsourcing to make your business function effectively without you. Again, we covered this a few weeks ago, so check out those episodes as well here on the podcast. And you want this to be set up both so that it'll work, your business will function effectively without you while you're on parental leave, and then also, again, when you come back to work, perhaps on a more limited basis with a young child. From a personal perspective, do make sure you enlist your partner, your family, your friends, so that they're really behind you when it comes to your new business plans, and then also practically supportive once you start your family. And don't forget solutions like getting a cleaner or ordering food online, for example, to make your life easier. Of course, just a final caveat, having a baby will be different to having a baby and a toddler, which will be different to having older children who are in school on weekdays. So, of course, you will find that you need to evolve your personal criteria and therefore evolve your business model and ways of working as you and your family situation evolve. And, there's a lot of planning we can do, theoretical, imagining what success will look like for us as a parent and as a new business owner and so on. But as I said at the beginning, probably this will turn out to be very different once you actually have a child, so be prepared for the unexpected, be prepared to adjust your expectations, your definition of success and so on. But these are some general principles around how you might consider setting up your business so that it will work if and when you have young children. So again, just to recap, 1, define success as a parent and as an entrepreneur. 2, choose the right business model. 3, work out the financials. 4, build your audience. And 5, get support. So I hope you found that interesting and useful. Next week, we're going to look specifically, as I've said, at the more immediate preparations that need to happen once you're actually pregnant and imminently going on maternity leave. Again, I'm speaking to you as a mother, but please don't be offended if you're a father and you're going to be taking on, a lot of the responsibility with your young family. Of course, a lot of these principles will be very relevant to you. It just happens to be the case that as a mother who's actually carrying the baby and perhaps breastfeeding, the mother will have a slightly more specific situation in terms of being able to create, manage and run this business during those different phases. So thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you back in next week when we'll be talking about preparing for maternity leave. Thanks so much. Bye for now. Have you set yourself ambitious goals for your business and you now recognise that you'll need mentoring from someone who's been there, done that, and can guide you to focus on the right priorities? I can help you clarify your vision and get the foundations in place for long-term success. Get clear on your messaging and build a strong brand proposition, and improve your work-life balance as you achieve your business goals without sacrificing your health and relationships to do so. Apply for a free consultation at onestepoutside.com/free consultation. I look forward to hearing about your goals.